Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Can a public school hold a graduation in a church? Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Shawn Akers, the director of the Liberty University School of Government and also public policy analyst for Liberty Counsel. Shawn, the Americans United for Separation of Church and State sent a letter to the Cherokee County School District officials in Georgia saying that they will face a lawsuit if they hold their graduation ceremony in a local church. They have also been threatening other places around the country about the same situation. We have now sent a letter to the Cherokee School District and to some other surrounding districts, which also hold their graduations in churches, indicating first that it's constitutional to do so, and second, we'll stand by them and defend them against this Americans United threat.
You know, Matt, this is, again, it's one of those things we've talked about in the past. It falls in that same ACLU-style bullying tactics by these small groups to come in and just threaten a school with anything and hope that they'll run. But Liberty Counsel didn't take this one lying down. They've sent a letter to let everybody know that we'll be happy to stand in the gap and represent them if it comes to that need. As you've pointed out, this is a 5,000-seat church that is perfect for this event. In any other context, the price is right, the venue is right, everything on it looks right. So, Matt, why in the world would somebody like Americans United for the Separation of Church and State try to cause such a stink over something that makes such fiscal sense?
Well, it's not because the Constitution prohibits churches from being venues for graduations. It's because that the Americans United for Separation of Church and State is a radical anti-Christian organization trying to hide behind the Constitution to intimidate these school officials into not having anything to do with these sites. And that's not just for churches, it's everything else. They want to just literally criminalize Christianity. As you said, this is a 5,000-member or a 5,000-seat church, so it has plenty of room for this high school graduation, which is what they need, a big venue. The church charges about $2,000 for such events. If this public school were not to have the opportunity to use this church, they'd have to spend $40,000 to have their graduation elsewhere, so it'd be a $38,000 difference. Now the Cherokee County officials are considering what to do. Other school boards like DeKalb County uses a New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, and Cobb County is making plans to hold their upcoming graduation at Turner Chapel AME Church. So it's not novel in Georgia or any place else around the country to have these graduation facilities in churches.
Well, and when you say it's not novel, Matt, take us back. I mean, you are a scholar on early American history, especially with political foundations and those type of things. Where in history is there a precedent, especially in the foundational period of the United States, where in the world is there a precedent saying that you can't have a graduation ceremony in a church or any other school ceremony in a church?
Well, you know, you go to Richmond and you see, for example, Richmond, Virginia, you see a big painting there, and in that painting it is an assembly of the governmental officials. It is the local body of the legislature meeting. And where are they meeting? They're actually meeting in a church. In the church there, that is the oldest, one of the oldest churches, if not the oldest church, I think it's the oldest Methodist or Episcopal church in the country in colonial Williamsburg. There is a section where the people from the legislature actually sat. There's a section for the people from the College of William and Mary where they sat and where the governor sat. All of these people were part and parcel of going to church. And in fact, schools were founded upon the idea that they would teach religion, particularly Christianity, to a new generation in order to preserve our liberty. That was how our liberty was to be preserved. So there was this notion of this broad separation and literally shunning of religion. To the contrary, religion and Christianity were essential for the survival of the republic.
And now, when you put that in that kind of context, that literally, when we look back and see that Patrick Henry, speaking to the House of Burgesses, saying, "Give me liberty or give me death," spoke those words in a church.
Yeah, St. John's Church in the Richmond, Virginia area. So he spoke those famous words in a church. And who was gathered there? Well, it wasn't just church people. It was the members of the delegation, the elected officials that gathered in St. John's Church.
That's right. And early American churches, as we know, especially our friends like David Barton will tell you real quick, that the same house that served as a house of worship during the week was often the schoolroom for the rest of the week. This is something that is woven through American history. But like you pointed out many times, these groups like the ACLU and like Americans United for the Separation of Church and State aren't dealing with the Constitution that we have. They're trying to create a new Constitution. They're trying to create something that fits into their secular model and that pushes traditional Christian worldview completely out of the United States and the public realm especially.
It was just the opposite during Jefferson's time, where church actually met in the White House and in the congressional facilities there, and the House and Senate is where they met. And it was a gathering of several thousand people weekly. So it was the largest church in the nation's capital, one of the largest churches, if not the largest, in the United States of America, meeting on a regular basis. This wasn't the government temporarily using a church facility for an event. This was church being conducted in the government. And, of course, people point to Thomas Jefferson as this wall of separation quote, which he only used once in his entire life. But he was the one who was a frequent attender, one of the most frequent attenders as a president to this weekly worship service. So it's completely contrary to history, and it's completely contrary to the First Amendment. But this group, Americans United, led by Barry Lynn, they use the Constitution to literally try to distort it, to say something that it doesn't really mean, as a guise, as a shroud around them, to literally intimidate people because of their anti-Christian bias. They're not a civil liberties organization. They're an anti-Christian organization.
I can't put words in Jefferson's mouth, but I would be willing to bet you that if you had challenged, if Barry Lynn had shown up at the Capitol and challenged holding services there, he wouldn't have seen it as an Establishment Clause issue, but a free exercise issue, and said you have no right whatsoever to stop them from holding church services in the Capitol. Now, just to be clear on this, though, so we understand the parameters on it, Matt, in this particular case where this school wants to hold a graduation in this church, is there anybody from the church that is carrying on any part in the graduation?
No.
That's overseeing the graduation? Is it a church service?
No, it's just the school renting this facility, and they're conducting the graduation as they want to. It's not being directed by church officials. Church officials are not part of the graduation ceremony. It's just they're using a facility because, one, they need the space, and number two, this is the most aesthetically pleasing and cost-effective place to have this ceremony. Now, they could probably go spend $40,000 to have an event at a less convenient place that's not as aesthetically pleasing. It's not going to do as good a job. And that's what Americans United says, go ahead and do that. We want you to do that. Why don't you spend $38,000, waste that money just so that people won't have to go inside a church?
Well, that's easy for Barry Lynn to say, but the fact is that through federal funding of schools and through state funding of schools, that's not his $38,000 difference.
Well, maybe Barry Lynn ought to cough up the extra $38,000.
I'm sure we, the taxpayers, would greatly appreciate it if he would cover the tab on that.
If he wants to do that, that's up to him, and help subsidize this. And then all these other ones around the country as well. And in fact, he did this in a church in Florida. They did this where they tried to intimidate the church into, or the school into not having a graduation in a church. Another similar situation, multi-thousand member church, great venue inside. What happened there was the school officials backed down, had to have their graduation outside in a field. It was unbelievable. We're hoping that this Cherokee County Public School does not back down. That's why Liberty Counsel has sent a letter encouraging them on what the law is and standing behind them if Americans United follows through with their threat. Give us a call at Liberty Counsel at 1-800-671-1776 or go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. Sign up for the Grassroots Action Update email right there. And if you're a part of that, you can be part of affecting change in Congress. That's a very activist-oriented email where you can have faxes, petitions, and your voice can be heard in these important issues that are coming out of Washington, D.C. That's the Grassroots Action email right there on the front page of Liberty Counsel's website. You can also give an online contribution to help support this ministry, especially at this time of the year in December. Your year-end giving certainly is appreciated for this ministry to help advance life, liberty, and family. Go to lc.org.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.